Last week, Dragon Ball Super Superhero hit theaters in the United States as well as other countries like Canada, South American countries got it, Mexico. And I want to give you all a brief little update here as far as box office goes. Now, of the 4 previous Dragon Ball films, we're talking about Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, Broly, and Superhero. In Japan, Superhero performed the worst. Now, there's many reasons for this, and I've talked about it in a previous video I did discussing the bad marketing. Dragon Ball Super Superhero was very poorly marketed, not just in the US, but also in Japan. I felt they waited too long, and they could have capitalized on it more. But think about this. In spite of the lackluster promotion, especially compared to Broly, where when Broly was coming out, there was synergy between Japan, Latin America, and North America, English speakers, all throughout. We had simultaneous spoilers, we had convention appearances with the actors, we had news updates coming out all the time. Toei was on top of the ball when it came to Dragon Ball Super Broly. This movie, not so much, but in spite of the promotion for Superhero not being that great, Superhero debuted, and now think about this. Broly made somewhere over 30 million domestically, meaning the US only. This film, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, has already made 20, and it hasn't even been out for a week yet. That is insane. That's flabbergasting. And honestly, I was hearing about how good it was doing, but there's also a lot of empty movie theaters that I saw, a lot of weak showings, but in some parts of the country, this movie's red hot. So right now, the way it stands, according to Box Office Mojo, we're getting this from Box Office Mojo, in Japan, the film made 18 million, right? Which is fine. I mean, for an anime film, you can't compare these numbers to like Avengers or even Top Gun Maverick. This is an anime film, which is a somewhat of a niche product, but even in Japan, Japan's film industry is nowhere near as big as the US's. So you have to look at apples to apples and not compare apples to oranges. People do that all the time. They compare Dragon Ball to like Marvel, DC. Don't do that. It's its own thing. So 18 million is actually kind of a low number for Dragon Ball Super Superhero, especially since it was promoted so poorly, but yet Japan got it more. Australia didn't make that much, and New Zealand didn't make, it made fine. It wasn't bad or anything, but it did well. But the big numbers here come from North America. 20 million domestic, folks. That means that in the United States, people have paid more for Dragon Ball Super Superhero cumulatively, excuse me, that's a big word, than what they paid in Japan. In Japan, they paid 18 million. And that's still ongoing, of course, but this movie's still red hot. This movie people are still going to go see it. And if you are wondering why, if you're curious about what happened, because also, let's not forget, Dragon Ball Super Superhero was competing with a new Idris Elba movie called Beast. And I find it really interesting and kind of strangely ironic that there's a new transformation in Dragon Ball Super Superhero called Gohan Beast, and he's competing against a movie called Beast. I don't know why that seems poetic in a way, but believe it or not, Dragon Ball Super Superhero did better than Beast. And Beast was not a big film at all, but to go back to my original point as to why. First of all, Dragon Ball Super Superhero was put in multiple theaters, more theaters than any of the previous films were in the United States, okay? Number 2, I do feel like a lot of Dragon Ball fans were waiting for this. I think a lot of the more casual, not you guys, not all of you guys watching this, or, even, people who watch other YouTubers, those are the more hardcore fans. The casuals probably had no idea about it, and when they did find out about it, that's when they decided to go see it. And I feel like they were missing Dragon Ball. I think when Broly came and went and then Super ended, a lot of people don't read the manga, y'all. A lot of folks do not read the manga. Again, there's different levels of fandom in this community. So I think there was a lot of, people wanting more, and it took them a while. But you have to also remember that this movie was distributed by Crunchyroll. The previous 3 movies, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and Broly, were distributed by Fox. And that's where this stupid, moronic, fake news about Disney owning Dragon Ball comes from, because Disney bought Fox. Fox is a distribution company. For Dragon Ball, they obviously are part of Disney, but Fox did not make the Dragon Ball animated films. They distributed them. It was their job to put them in theaters, and yet Crunchyroll and Toei took over. They're the ones that really promoted this film, and guess what? It worked. It made a ton of money, even though I still feel like they could have done a better job. I think had they really pushed this out and teased it since even going back to like February or January in the United States, they could have probably done 30 or 40 million, because I feel like there were a lot of people who were just now finding out about this movie. You know, like literally in the past couple of weeks, people have just found out about it. So good last minute promotion from Toei and Crunchyroll, but ultimately it could have been better, and I will stick by that because I have facts to prove it. Broly was pushed a lot more, but this film was in more theaters, more towns that didn't previously have this movie, like smaller towns in the country, they were able to see it. So right now the film is doing relatively well. I mean, I don't think it's gonna, I think it probably will surpass Broly domestically. I don't know about internationally, but you know, without question, the Dragon Ball brand is still popular. You know, it's still, people still want more Dragon Ball. Okay, so I want to cut in real quick with an extra bonus segment here for just a moment, because I recorded this original video back on Tuesday. I didn't want to do it over again because most of the information is still good, but now we have a couple of quick updates and a couple of quick comparisons I want to make. So first of all, I should have mentioned this in the original video, but Dragon Ball Super Broly made 30 million in the domestic box office. We're talking about in the United States and Canada. 30 million total, not just for the first week. Dragon Ball Super Superhero has made 20 million just for the first couple of weeks. Now, in talking to some Dragon Ball fans, I haven't talked to all of them or even a lot of them, but I talked to a few. Many Dragon Ball fans went to go see this thing both subbed and dubbed, and it may have been a situation where a lot of fans saw this movie in two different languages, and thus that's 2 extra tickets, and that could be why the film performed so much better than Broly, but I still don't think that's the only sole reason. The marketing behind this one, as I stated, was still pretty poor compared to Broly. There was no synergy outside of Japan, but the film is still able to not only break the top 4 like domestic anime films of all time, but was able to beat Pokemon Movie 1. If you remember, back in 1999, Pokemon the first movie, when it came out in the United States, was the biggest anime film of the time, with a record that wasn't broken for decades, right? That was like probably the peak of anime popularity in this country, because at that time you had Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and Sailor Moon being the 3 hottest anime properties. And while that was going on, Toonami began to roll in stuff like Tenchi Muyo and Gundam Wing and things like that. But it was just those 3 at the time that were really carrying the banner of anime. Since then, the anime mainstream acceptance hasn't really gone up as much as it did before, but the internet has definitely grown, and thus there's more awareness and more accessibility to anime now than what was around in 1999. And you have to also remember that with Pokemon specifically, Pokemon also had a video game that it was promoting while promoting movies and anime and toys and all kinds of stuff. Pokemon was a machine, and still is a machine to this day. But with Dragon Ball Superhero, all you really have is the Fortnite promo, which really did help. I do believe that the Fortnite collaboration with Dragon Ball really helped, because right now, outside of Fighters and Dokkan, there's no consistent Dragon Ball game that's still putting out product. Like, you know, right now as we speak, Fighters have, as far as we know, already dropped all their DLC, and so is Kakarot. So the only thing that's still coming out new is the Breakers, which had nowhere near the amount of hype that the Fortnite collaboration had. So I do think that's a contributing factor as to why this did so well. So that's kind of the way I'm kind of perceiving things. Either way, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, as of this recording, which is, I'm recording this on Wednesday now, this part of the video is at 50 million worldwide. And even though that may not be like Star Wars MCU numbers, Toei will definitely get their money back, and thus, by the pure definition of what a flop is, Dragon Ball Super Superhero is not a flop. Promotionally compared to Broly, it might end up being that as far as Japanese box office numbers go, but it's going to make its money back and then some. It'll make a profit. And so because of that, the film cannot be considered a flop. However, time will tell as far as how much it'll actually make. Whether or not the second week of the film will do well, that remains to be seen. And it sounds like Toei Animation is on its way to satisfying those fans sooner than later. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll talk to y'all soon.